Your laptop.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to this edition of Curveball Convos with your boys at Carolina Curveball. Tonight, we once again have a full barn. Myself, Braxton, Reed, and Colby. Guys, how was your weekend? Colby, we'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of baseball on the TV and a lot going on. I think there's going to be a lot of movement on our rankings and then the field of 64 later this week. So I'm ready to dive into it.
No question about it. Braxton, how was your weekend, sir?
It was great. It was good. Had great weather, somewhat, a little bit of rain, but I was able to hang out with Reed Tobin today, and we watched a ton of ball over at my place. So I think we got a lot of productive ball watching done today, and we're able to kind of dig through some of these teams for our rankings. It's going to be interesting to see. We were just talking before the show, probably one of the most anticipated rankings to come out tomorrow. That being the top 25. Our rankings, field of 64 projections this week are going to be quite the talk. So just ready to dig into all of it and kind of discuss some Carolina stuff. And yeah, we'll see what happens. We got another big week coming up as we close in to the end of the season.
No question about it. And I unfortunately hung out with Reed this weekend, too. Me and Reed had ourselves a Friday night. Reed, how was your weekend and how was Friday night, sir?
It was a great weekend. Um, was fortunate enough to be able to go up to Danville Friday night for the first time. But a lot of rain throughout the Carolinas this weekend. We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah, rain really dampened a whole lot of things. Also dampened some MLB action too, as Braves Dodgers was postponed last night at 2 a.m. It felt like rain all over shifted games around. Colby, I know the state game today was canceled. I mean, I saw a tweet today. You sent it in the chat saying NC State saying Rain's the big MVP for the pack today, huh?
Yeah, the rain weather in Coral Gables was the best player State had all weekend this weekend. So.
All right, Rex, if you want to pull up the sheet. Sorry, not the slate or the sheet. I said sleep, combining both of them together there. All right, folks,
Yeah.
we will read these out to you. What's up, Braxton?
I was just going to say we should probably start with UNCW since their series finished up last night. They dropped first game to Monmouth and then won both yesterday pretty convincingly. So we could start there and then we can kind of go down through today's action. But I know Brian Arendt had a big weekend at the plate. I think some of their pitchers threw the ball well as well. But good for them to get another series win in the CAA as they kind of, I want to say they're sitting in the 2 or 3 spot in that league right now. Is that right?
Second now after
Yeah.
William and Mary loss.
Yeah, so they're right there. It's going to be probably between them and Northeastern as we've talked about for that bid, and that's looking to probably be a one bid league this year, despite us thinking that it could possibly be a little more, unless of course Northeastern gets in that large, which is very possible. But
Yeah, no question about it. And nothing else ended on Saturday. On Saturday, correct?
I don't believe so.
No.
Yeah, Wellington continues to play. This is the best ball they've been playing by far all season. Another big week. They got State again this upcoming week. Obviously they took them down on Tuesday night, so we'll see if they can continue that momentum.
Yes, sir. In the first recap, we will start off us with is Elon at Hofstra. Elon goes on the road, wins 3-0. A nice week for Elon. This past week, they played ECU, hung with ECU for a little bit, ended up dropping that one, but 3-1 week for Elon is never a bad thing. High Point goes on the road to Presbyterian, wins the series, sweeps the series, wins today 8-5, and then the doubleheader 15-5 over Presbyterian. And then Colby, NC State had a rough weekend, but they did not get to finish it off today. Just talk about what went wrong for the Pack down there in Miami.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Bad base running, bad defense, offense. Had some moments, but wasn't all the way there. Miami's playing hot baseball. They were certainly the better team this weekend. Yesterday, the second game on Saturday was a blowout. Friday was pretty close, just base running blunders, and thought third base coach Hart didn't have his best game at coaching third base. Got some runners thrown out in some critical times, but yeah, it's something they need to flush because they have another big week ahead. They're still, I think, technically tied for first. I could be wrong. Maybe they're in second with Florida State and first. We just said that at UNCW Tuesday and then at Carolina for a 3-game set this weekend.
Yeah, big week for them, but huge bounce back opportunity presents itself. Reed Tobin, Queens.
Yeah, shout out Queens, their second series win of the year, taking down a solid Jacksonville team, which quite the shocking result. But shout out to Queens pitcher Landry Jureka. Is that how you say his last name?
Yep.
Braxton?
Jericho.
Career high 14 strikeouts tonight, complete game pitch, and in the rubber match today. So good for Queens.
Yeah, and they'll travel to Durham tomorrow.
The brutal non-con continues.
Tuesday, yeah. So we'll see if they can continue that hot streak right into Durham. Okay.
Duke might try to find some weather for that game, since
You think so?
Yeah, if they can.
I don't know if that's going to happen this week.
Yeah, I haven't looked, but if
Yeah,
there is,
Tuesday, there's nothing in the forecast.
Jason with us?
Just move down to Davidson.
Is Jason here?
He said he's lagging badly.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Well, we'll go to Davidson. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch some of that series, but it was a good one. Me and Reed were watching it a little bit today. The last game, they did continue last night's game to this morning, which George Washington had a 13-8 lead, so no change there in that scoreline. And then later today, it was kind of a back and forth affair, and I think Davidson pulled it out with a late go-ahead home run by what was the kid's name? Reed Anthony Tereso or something.
Yeah.
So big hit for Davidson.
They were down 9-5. Was able to tie it 9-9. George Washington took the lead 10-9, and then Davidson, like Braxton said, 2-run shot in the bottom of the 8th to clinch that series.
Yeah, so they stay alive there in the A10. This was a pick'em for us. I think me and Kaysen picked George Washington, and then the rest of the field picked Davidson. So pretty good series for us to pick as it came down to the wire there. But congrats to Davidson on that win. We'll move to App and Coastal. Guys, another impressive weekend for Coastal. We kind of anticipated this with their remaining Sun Belt schedule. I think they are going to just kind of cruise right into the end of the season in first place. But they just continue to blow teams out. Reed or Colby, you guys got any comments on Coastal?
Yeah, the pitching staff continues to remain dominant on the weekend. I know me and Braxton were talking today. Their top 8 seed is in play for Coastal, where their RPI is right now. They have Clemson this Tuesday at home. They take care of business, win their last 2 series, win the Sun Belt tournament. There's going to be many questions. Saying they could be a top 8 seed, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Coastal's a juggernaut right now, and it's good they're keeping this up because I think the committee, with them being a Sun Belt, will try to find any possible way to not have them be a host, and they're just keep taking care of business. They're taking that out of the committee's hands.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are probably I don't want to say they're a clear-cut host at this point, but I think we're getting really close to that point. When you
Yeah, they're about
Oh,
there. I
absolutely.
agree. Yeah.
So yeah, Coastal. We're excited for them to probably host. Campbell and A&T. This was a really good series too, fellas. Another pick 'em for us. We all picked Campbell. Campbell drops game one in a one-run game, and then they come back yesterday, win like 10-4, and then come out today. I think was it Oster had a big home run.
Lucas Schramm.
Lucas Schramm, yeah, he's a local kid, I think, out of Apex. So Campbell does get the series win. I think they're finally up to 20 wins now on the year. But of course, still a lot of ground to make up for Campbell if they want to get to where they want to be. Obviously, if they can slide into that tournament, you never know what could happen. But I think that's all I got on this series. A&T, another. They how many series has A&T won this year, Reed? Do you know by chance?
They're 9-12 in the CAA right now.
Yeah, I know they had a decent start.
They beat Wilmington.
Yeah.
I know they picked off another one the other weekend ago too. I can't think of who it was.
They started like 4-2 or
didn't they beat Elon too?
I can't remember now.
No, I'll read the top four in that conference right now. Northeastern obviously is going to win it. I think their magic number is just one to clinch. They're 19-2. UNCW 13-8, tied for second with William and Mary 13-8, and then Elon is sitting after the sweep this weekend is in fourth place at 12-9. Campbell is 11-10 in fifth. Charleston's 10-11 and sixth.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot to play for still in the CAA, and then that's a 6-team tournament.
I believe so. Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Do we have Mr. Rameli back?
Sort of. I'm spotty in and out. When Reed started talking about Queens, all I heard, it took him 18 syllables to say Queens on my computer because of the lag. It's just like dragged out. I couldn't even hear it. So I'm in and out, sort of, but I think I'm fine now.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay. But Braxton, you're doing a great job, pal.
All right, we will move to Charlotte and Rice. Surprising result here in this series. Rice takes the first two games. Colby, were you able to watch any of Charlotte this weekend, or got any comments?
Yeah, I was able to watch today. Couldn't catch the first two games. Yeah, it's a bad series loss. Rice isn't a good team. Charlotte's the better team, and they lost the series. Obviously, going on the road is tough, but this is one you should win. Gillespie, another good Friday start. I think he went 8 innings of 1 or 2 run ball, but Charlotte offense only had 1 hit the entire game on Friday, and then lost Saturday, and then they bounced back today nicely, but disappointing series overall for the Niners.
Yeah, I know Gillespie got his 100th strikeout. He was at like 99, so obviously he was going to get that. He leads the Carolinas in strikeouts. If you didn't see our stat leaders posts, go check those out on our X or Instagram.
What year is he?
I think he's a junior, right, Colby?
Yeah, he's draft eligible. He spent his first 2 years at Georgia, but didn't get much time on the mound there. Transferred to Charlotte. I think he's draft eligible this year, so this is probably definitely his last year in college.
Okay.
Yeah, I would imagine he'll be off the board this year. If not, he could transfer. I mean, who knows? All right, well, let's talk about the big one. Clemson and Florida State. Obviously, last night was pretty crazy. They end up going to a weather delay right after Canarella hit that big, like, go-ahead triple, and then the triple tied the game, and then all of a sudden the throw gets through to third. He stumbles going to 4 and still ends up safe. And Clemson does even the series, but I mean today, Reed, we were sitting there watching Tallahassee. It's what, like 11-2 or 10-1, something.
10-0 Florida State.
Yeah. Then Clemson comes clawing back, gets within 2, and we're like, okay, we got a ball game. And then all of a sudden, those Florida State bats just absolutely come alive again, and they end up putting 20 runs on the Tigers.
Run rolling on too.
Impressively, yeah, to win the series. I mean, is this Florida State team legit? Is Clemson starting to be a little bit overrated? What do you think, Tobin?
I certainly don't think Clemson is overrated. I've said all season, I think Florida State is one of the best teams in the country. Jamie Arnold on Friday night, one of the best pitchers in the country. And then, I mean, that lineup is ridiculous. I mean, you look at Ladis, what he did today, 2 home runs. Yeah, that's a scary Florida State team.
Yeah, I think Lodis is going to win the Golden Spikes.
Yeah. I mean, his batting average right now is what, 450 after today, probably.
Yeah, in the 440s or 450s, and we were talking about it. Like Florida State probably going to have back-to-back Golden Spike winners, and possibly a good shot at going to Omaha back-to-back under Coach Link Jarrett. So they're doing some good things down there in Tallahassee, which they've done for years, and Link Jarrett's just continuing that culture down there.
Yeah, was he safe? How about we can talk about the game one.
Game one. I think he was out. I mean,
yeah, I thought it was a terrible call.
Yeah,
I thought that was clear as day that he was out, but
yeah, the picture I sent, I guess the one argument is you can't tell for sure if the glove is touching his arm. You can't tell that for 100% certainty. So I guess that's the one argument for Florida State there, but I thought he was out, yeah.
I mean, there was a play today that was kind of similar when Clemson's guys tried to steal second, and he kind of went over the bag, and I don't know, it was kind of, you couldn't really tell, but, they still called him out.
Yeah, well, they ended up overturning
that. Yeah,
that was my point.
Yeah, they called him safe on the field and then overturned it.
A lot of times with these reviews, like at least from my experience when I dealt with them in my playing time, and then even now, like it's the umpires are very, very hesitant to overturn their call, and I think that like a big part of that is, like you said, Reed, like some of the camera work is not very good at some venues. Sometimes it's better than other times. And then other times they just like you said, they don't have enough evidence to clearly tell. Like you have to be able to clearly make an overturned call. And then I don't know if it's also just like a thing for umpires where they want to be right the first time type thing. But you don't see it a lot where the calls get overturned. Typically it does stay how they called it unless there's just clear cut evidence. But I thought that was one where they would overturn it, that game one. So didn't end up happening, and Florida State wins the series. But
really good series, though.
Yeah, I think it lived up to the potential. We could definitely see those two teams go at it again in Durham in a couple weeks. You definitely could see that at some point. Who's next? College of Charleston. Yeah. So College of Charleston drops game one against William and Mary. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe so.
And then come back to win both, to win the series, rather, with a 12-3 win today. I was not able to watch this. I don't have Flow anymore, so haven't been able to watch too much CAA. But based on the scores, I think Charleston had a successful weekend, and they may be scratching the surface of our top 12 again. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're certainly getting closer to getting back in. I mean, that was a much-needed series win to get them back into the top 6 or right near the – I think they're sitting right – actually, they might be 7. Let's see.
Well, William and Mary was second, right?
Second headed into this week. Yeah, okay, yeah. Charleston's sitting in the 6th spot right now. So, yeah, much-needed series for them.
Yeah. Radford and Duke, an interesting non-conference matchup there for the Blue Devils. I mean, they just absolutely hit the baseball today. We were watching a little bit of that today, Reed, and it seemed like every time we looked up, Duke was rounding the bases. I think Sam Harris had a grand slam. Wallace Clark had a 2-home run game, a grand slam, and then he had another one. This like we've been saying, this Duke team is getting hot at the right time, and they're going to be a scary, scary team if they can figure out things on the mound, which I think they're starting to a little bit. They've got Prox going on Friday nights. Easterly's been a stud out of the pen. If they can get like Nard and some of those experienced arms, maybe Kyle Johnson to be a little better in areas on the mound, I think they're really scary for a lot of teams, especially as a 2 or probably a 2, right, Reed?
Yeah, I think I'd have him as a 2. We had him as a 2 this past week.
I mean, you could definitely see them being in Coastal's region or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a big series. I mean they got Duke or Clemson coming to town this upcoming weekend. So I mean that's a huge ACC series.
Yes, and of course they've got Queens coming to town in a couple of days as well. Another weird series, ACC versus Big South. Wake, well, not really series, a little mini series. Wake versus Gardner Webb. And this one surprised us. Reed, Gardner Webb gave Wake trouble. I think they started that one game last night, right? And then it was 3-3 when they continued it today, late in the game.
I believe, yeah.
Wake ends up walking it off, and then later today, Gardner Webb has them down like 8-5 or something, and then Wake comes back. Austin Hawk, former Tar Heel, now on the team that his brother, what was his name? Tommy Hawk. Yeah. Of course, Austin Hawk makes the switch over to Wake, and he hits 2 home runs today to help them win. So,
yeah, Matt Conte, go ahead, homer in the 8th for the Deacons. Yeah, that would have been a disaster had they lost one of those games this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would you guys say, Kaysen or Colby? You guys can touch on this, but in terms of Duke and Wake, like we've got them 4-5 right now, I believe in our rankings, probably around that this week as well is what I would assume. Who do you think of those two teams has a better shot of winning a regional and making a super?
I'd probably lean Duke, just slightly. They're pretty similar. I think they'll both end up being 2 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Did D1 in their field of 64? I think they had Duke as a 3 or Wake as a 3, which I didn't agree with. I think they're both solidly on the 2 line. So I think it all just kind of comes down to what type of draw they get.
Yeah, Jason.
I'll say I'm gonna agree with Colby. I'm gonna say Duke. I definitely think that if Wake had Conrad, that it would be a more Wake discussion. But I think that Duke at the plate and on the mound, I think especially at the plate has just more talent. I mean, just Ben Miller, Gracia. You just go down that lineup, and we were talking about earlier, like what if Gracia starts going for this lineup, and he has been playing better, and they've been playing better as well. But I definitely think that with both of these teams, you don't know which team is going to show up each weekend. But I think that if each team is at their best, I think Duke is better.
Okay.
I'd venture to say Duke's more consistent now too.
Yeah, and Gracia is back in. They've been having him bat at the top of the order. Now I know they had moved him down into the 9 hole, but past few games they've had him back into the 2 spot.
Yeah,
I do like what Colby said in terms of the draw, because I think in terms of which team I think can go to a super. I mean, if we sit here and Wake draws the coastal region, I mean, they've owned them all year. I mean, they haven't faced their weekend arms yet, but if I'm sitting here and looking Duke's in like, I don't know, some SEC 1, if they're in that region and Wake sitting in coastal, I would probably say Wake would have a better chance of advancing. So it certainly will depend on the draw, but I would tend to agree with you guys that if I had to trust a team more right now, it's probably Duke, just purely off of the way they've been playing the last few weeks or so. Whereas Wake, you just really don't know what you're going to get. So,
yeah, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough is like the luck of the draw with where you're placed in a regional and what seed you are. Because I mean, there are some really, really good mid major teams in past years that have been really, really good, but they run into an absolute buzzsaw. There have been maybe some weaker Power 5 teams that are like, how they squeak in, but like for example, like Florida last year. I mean, there were many talks of last year of them not getting in, and then they get in, then they win the regional. I mean, it's. I'm not saying it's luck if you win your regional, but a lot of things have to fall your way, I think. And this is the same with the NCAA tournament for the men for the March Madness. I mean, it's all about the luck of the draw too, not so much about who you're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, just going back to last year when Wake got the 2 seed in Greenville, if you would have told me that ECU was going to lose the first game to, drawing a blank, who was it?
Evansville.
Evansville, the first game. I would have said Wake's going to win that regional. They didn't.
But then Wake went and lost that same day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was Chase Burns, Trey Savage at 12 o'clock on.
Elimination game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know what can happen.
All right, we'll put the Wake and Duke talk aside for now. We'll go to Spartanburg, where USC Upstate did drop game 1 to Longwood, which was a bit of a surprise. But they come back and get 2 run rule wins, I think, to take this series. We got to talk about Johnny Sweeney. I mean, this guy has been mashing every weekend since, I want to say, like early March, maybe mid-March. He's just been on fire. He's leading. I think he's leading the Carolinas in RBIs now, maybe even the country. Reed.
Yeah, I mean, the leader in the country had 69, and then Sweeney had like 12 this weekend to put him
He
up
was
to
up
like
to
73.
75.
Yeah,
he was up
he's
to 75 today.
okay. Up to say, yeah. So he had like 14 RBIs. So I don't know what the other top guys around the country did, but I mean, he's definitely probably in the top 3 now.
Yeah, I mean, I got the chance to play with him at Upstate, and of course his brother, the head coach. So he's been playing a lot of ball this year, and he's been, I mean, living up to it right now. And then also Preston Lucas had a couple of home runs for them today. I mean, that's just that ballpark, Reed. Like you get it up in that jet stream, it's going out at this rate. I mean, that's certainly a team that's dangerous, though. I think they're going to be a little upset that they dropped a game to Longwood, but you can't dwell on it too much. I think they're a game back of High Point now in the Big South. So you got to just do everything you can. And they've got Presbyterian next week. You got to do everything you can to take that one, to get in that win that conference regular season, and then get that 1 seed for the tournament. It looks like he has 76 RBIs according to my dad. So, yeah, I mean, shout out to Johnny Sweeney. What he's been doing this year is pretty incredible. So hopefully he keeps that up in postseason play as well. You guys, what do you guys think about Upstate in terms of rankings? You guys think they're still going to be around that 8-9 range? You think they maybe push up to 7? I mean, obviously they did lose to Longwood, but they do have the series head-to-head win against High Point. I think High Point's been playing a little bit better ball as of late, but I think Upstate's right there. I mean, it's a little biased for me maybe, but what do y'all think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. They're right there. What did we have them last week? Are they 9th or 8th?
I think we actually dropped them last week.
I think we had them at like 10 last week.
They lost 2 midweek games to Tennessee Tech, was it?
Yeah,
they dropped 1 to the 10 spot, and we did move High Point ahead of them, despite them having the head-to-head over them. So I think you could see them move up to 9 maybe this week, maybe sit right there in 10 still, but I don't see them lower than 10.
Yeah, I mean, for sure not. I mean, the teams above them last week, I mean, High Point, they swept, so probably won't pass them even though they have the head-to-head. But Charlotte should see a fall in their rankings, in my opinion, after losing 2 out of 3 to Rice and South Carolina getting swept. Yeah, so I think they should move up.
The only thing, Charlotte and South Carolina do both have midweek wins against Upstate, so that is something to consider as well. But then again, of course, Upstate does have the head-to-head over High Point in a series. So yeah, we'll see where they fall. Let's move on to Western at Georgia Tech. We were kind of excited for Western, getting hot going into this one. It wasn't meant to be for them. They get beat pretty handily today, 13-0. They do fall all 3 games, but they still have their whole season in front of them with the SoCon and SoCon tournament. So not to worry for Western Catamount fans. Do you guys think this team can make a run in the SoCon? I believe they can. They might even be my pick to win the tournament.
Yeah, and with that offense they have, I know they were shut down this weekend, but
you just worry about
the way they play up there in the mountains. Yeah, anything's possible.
Yeah, and they're not going to face this good of pitching the rest of the season on a weekend. So, I mean,
it's true. Probably not. Right?
It was a pretty close one on Saturday, starting to interrupt. But I think it was like 4-2 on Saturday. So I mean, it was respectful one of the games. I think it was a good experience, like you said, facing really good pitching, and then going back to SoCon. I think SoCon's a little sleeper conference, though. Looking at it from top to bottom, I think it's pretty solid. That's a tough conference to pick, but yeah, I think Western should just put this one behind them and focus out the rest of the way.
Yeah, and speaking of SoCon, all of our picks for SoCon before the season was Wofford, except for I think Kaysen had UNCG. And Wofford, like you said, Colby, a top to bottom type conference. Wofford's near the bottom of that conference, and we know they're good enough to win that thing. But they needed this sweep. They did win. They did win the series, but they needed today. And they Mercer actually comes back to win this game 10-8. And they needed every win they can because Wofford's. I don't know if every team makes the SoCon tournament or not, but
I'm not sure.
if they don't make the tournament, if that's a thing, that's certainly not a good look for Wofford. They're what are they? They're sitting at 27 and 22 right now. They were in our rankings most of the season. They did fall out a few weeks ago, just because they've been losing a lot of series. But you get a series win here at home against Mercer. Maybe you can roll that into a couple more to end the season and fly into that SoCon tournament hot. And this is certainly a team that I think can win that tournament. I think when you look at them, Western, probably East Tennessee State, um, Citadel, and then also Mercer, all teams that could win that tournament. I wouldn't really necessarily throw Greensboro in there yet. I think they're a little bit too up and down. But I think those five. Go ahead.
Sanford.
They're at
good,
Eastern Tennessee this upcoming week in Wofford.
Good too. Yeah, so they have a tough schedule left. It looks like, right, Wofford?
Yeah. At East Tennessee State next weekend, and then VMI to end the season.
Okay.
And I do believe that every team does make it in the SoCon.
That's what I thought. Because it's 8. It's like only 8 teams, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be interesting to see where they fall and who they will end up playing. But for instance, if it's like a Wofford versus East Tennessee or something in the first round, I could easily see them upsetting them and something crazy happening in that tournament setting. But let's move on to Florida and South Carolina, boys. An impressive sweep on the road again for Florida. But then again, I think we all kind of expected it. We all picked Florida in the pick'em. Florida's hot right now. They certainly are making their case to be in the tournament. South Carolina, definitely not. They're kind of on the other side of that spectrum. And I just don't really have any words left for the Gamecock fans. I don't know about you guys, but
me and of this game on Saturday, I think there were 13 people in the stands in Columbia. There were more people at the softball game versus Alabama across the street than there were the baseball game. I watched a little bit of it today. I turned it on just to see the score, saw the score. I flipped to the Indiana Fever WNBA game after I saw the score. I was like, Lord have mercy. This is just a disaster for Paul Maneri in his first year, maybe his last year. Are we seeing like an Urban Meyer situation here? Like you hire this legendary coach, oh my gosh, he's going to do it, and then just absolutely fall flat on their face. Speaking of the bottom of the SEC, did Missouri get a win this weekend?
No, they came close today. It's tied going to the 9th. Saw something they've only led for 15 of the about 190 innings they've played in the SEC this year.
I don't know what to say at that point.
But I would have to expect, like you were saying, Kaysen, I think I imagine Maneri will not be back. This experiment just has not worked out.
Who's in line next for this job?
And that's exactly what I was going to say. That's a big job opening. That's a big opening.
Just like it was a year ago.
It was a year ago.
I think Cox will be wanting Ray Tanner to go back to coaching at this rate.
Isn't Ray Tanner his AD?
Yeah, he's the AD now.
But isn't
I think he's retiring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's retiring AD. And I don't think they want him back as a coach. I don't think they will.
Want him back-to-back national titles.
I understand that, but
I know.
The whole idea of hiring Maneri was because he won a title, and look where that's gotten you. I know.
What were you about to say?
I know South Carolina fans didn't like Coach Kingston last year, and they're so glad he's gone. But when you put in perspective this year, their last 2 years of the Kingston era was last year. They made a regional and lost in the Raleigh regional. The year before that, they hosted.
Yeah,
and then to fire him and hire Maneri. Yeah, it was exciting, I guess, but it didn't work out how they expected.
They hosted State, right? And Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
State and Campbell,
Mhm.
the loaded regional.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who won that regional again? State?
State.
It wasn't State, no.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Was South Carolina the winner?
Had
Did
to.
they win a super?
Campbell eliminated State, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, that
I
was
thought
the year I was still playing.
Campbell went 0-2, I'm pretty sure, in that one.
Maybe.
Pretty sure they
can't
eliminated
remember.
State.
But anyways, I think Gamecock fans will probably be looking towards Beamer ball this fall. I think they're kind of done with baseball. But I don't know. It's looking good for them, I think, on the football field, isn't it? Maybe not.
Well,
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers sucks. I mean, he's a running
Yeah,
back.
okay. South Carolina won
If
that.
there's any
regional.
South Carolina fans in here, give us your football take right now, please.
They lost to Florida in the supers that year.
But
Yeah,
that was,
so I mean, to go to
They did win.
supers and then a regional appearance last year.
that was
again,
that God Squad Florida team, wasn't it?
Yeah, Caglione.
Langford.
Yeah, they won. They made Omaha that year too.
Yeah.
They were in the title.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Um,
in the title that year.
forgot what I was gonna say, but
Hold on. Back on Beamer ball. Man, they're gonna be 7-5. Get that ish out of here. Sellers. I'm off topic. I'm hearing Heisman talk for Lenore Sellers.
if
That
Dylan
was
Harley,
great
if Dylan
from
Harley is in
me.
here, if Dylan Harley is in here by chance, he's a huge Gamecock football fan. He will give his take, but I'm guessing he's not in here because he would have already gave his take on Sellers. Yeah, I'm not a believer either. I mean, look, last time the Heels played them, we pounded them into oblivion. Spencer Rattler just had grass all over his helmet the amount of times we sacked him, which is crazy to say because our defense is usually horrible. But anyways, yeah, enough on Beamer and all that. Let's get back to the Diamond. Staying in the SoCon again, Citadel. This is a team that could possibly see the rankings for the first time this year. We've been talking about it. They were hot. They win the series. They win 2 8-7 ball games in the first 2 games, and then get beat on the last game of the day, 18-3. But certainly a team that's been hot as of late in the conference as well as in the midweeks, and maybe could find their way in the rankings this week. Wouldn't you say so, Colby?
Yeah, I like the way they've been playing. I know the second game of the doubleheader looks bad, 18-3, but after they won earlier today, that was their 6th win in a row, and obviously after lost 6-1 in their last 7, they're sitting in second of the SoCon, who I said earlier, I think that's an underrated conference. They're in good position.
Yeah. Reed, what do you think? Do you think Citadel will be in there?
Yeah, I agree with everything Colby said. Yeah, good chance they'll see themselves in the top 12 tomorrow.
Yeah. And like I said, if they haven't had too much offense this year, they've relied on some of their pitching like Will Holmes and Derek Floyd and some of those guys. Like I think if they can start hitting the ball, they're a really dangerous team. I mean, we've seen that especially in weekends like this. I think they kind of just ran out of gas here in the late game today, and Greensboro put it on them. But we know they're talented. They seem to compete with some of the better teams. Whether they're good enough to win the tournament, I don't know. I think there's a chance, but SoCon's very, very competitive, so we'll see what happens. Let's get to East Carolina talk. We'll start with Kaysen, I guess. Got walked off today. Tough to go out to Wichita, Kansas, and not come back victorious in the series. I mean, it feels like every weekend we kind of sit here and talk about East Carolina, and it's been a struggle bus, the last month or so for sure. I mean, no one's denying that at this point. I think we've said a couple weeks in a row, at large is out of the picture. It's going to all come down to Clearwater for their chances this year. What has changed from that? Probably nothing. What do you got on the Pirates this week and moving forward?
Just another struggle fest from the Pirates. Just the pitching is just so sporadic. Just Norby pitched well yesterday, got them a win, but last week he did not pitch well. And then today, Sean Jenkins did not have his best stuff. DiLorenzo didn't have his best stuff, but then Moran didn't pitch well either. But then Bradley Zach pitched well, but they got down today, I think 7-2, and they tie it 7-7 in the 8th, I think, and then they went into the 9th tied. and then get walked off in the ninth inning. But I mean, just so many mental errors. I mean, just so many just routine ground balls that just bounce off Boucher and Dixon Williams' glove. I mean, it's just there's so many little things that normally you don't see from these Cliff Godwin squads because Cliff Godwin's very old school, very fundamentals first, base running, bunting, and it's just not. He just doesn't have it with this group, and it is frustrating to watch. But I will say they do control their own. They do control their own destiny, and I think they're either going to go 0-2 in Clearwater or win the whole thing, and that's just how I think it'll be. I think it'll be quick and painless, or long and painful. But I'll let Reed touch on it some more. But just, I mean, just up and down this lineup, you never know when the offense is going to come. They just cannot string hits together. I mean, at this point, you're just praying for a walk and then a home run or a bases clearing hit because they cannot string multiple hits together.
No, the offense has been poor all season, minus Dixon and Braden. But I mean, the pitching, like you said, is besides Norby, the pitching has just been a disaster most of the year. That carried on this weekend too. They've been prone just to have so many blow up innings all year, which is something Pirate fans have been pretty spoiled with the dominant pitching they've had over the past couple years. But yeah, I mean, things are bad right now. Might get worse this weekend when UTSA comes to town. Today ended the chance 5 years in a row of them winning the conference. Today solidified them not being able to do that anymore. So UTSA will probably be clinching in Greenville next weekend.
They just need one win, right?
Yeah, one win away.
Tobin, you'll be boots on ground for that series?
I'll be there for it. Hopefully I won't be seeing UTSA clinch, but I fully expect that. But, they just need to focus and all have their mind on Clearwater. I mean, that's the only thing that matters at that point, trying to win 4 games down there.
Wichita State.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Wichita State's terrible. I mean,
ahead,
they had 12 wins the whole season coming into today or this weekend.
I was saying all hope's not dead for the Pirates. I mean, Wichita State last year, they weren't very good, and they won the tournament, right? And it also just
Tulane the year before too. You look at that;
Yeah.
they had a losing record. I think they had 15 wins going into that tournament, and then won the whole thing. So anything's possible down in Clearwater. We've seen it before, but certainly not looking good for the Pirates.
Yeah, I just want to say about this upcoming weekend, like this is the first time in a very long time that I can remember where you have an American opponent coming into Clark LeClaire, and seems like the Pirates just really have no confidence of winning the series. And I'm not saying that they can't. I'm talking about Pirate fans, right? Like I just think like this is the first time in a long time where, because this team's very good at home traditionally and historically. And that's all respect to their fans and their program and Cliff Godwin and things like that. But this is the first time I can remember in a long time where like it seems like there's no confidence in them winning a series against UTSA. And maybe I'm wrong. Casey, would you agree with that? Or do you think they still think that they'll win the series and go into Clearwater hot?
I mean, I personally think that the ECU fans think that they can win the series. I think ECU could suit up at Texas next week, and I think ECU fans, especially the diehard ones in the jungle, would think they could hang with them. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is a tough season for ECU, and Cliff Godwin has been so hard to change his ways and change his things. But I mean, it takes seasons like this for things to change. I mean, ECU fans got so mad the last couple of years of how things ended. But I mean, Cliff Godwin has always said, I mean, hey, I host regionals, I go to supers, I'm not going to change the way I do things. But I mean, look at this season. It's going to force him to change things. And I mean, I think Ree would agree with me. I think for some programs, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, it takes seasons like this for change to happen. I think it's going to be a whole new roster next year. I think there will be a lot of staff changes too, something that's not talked about enough, especially on the recruiting front. But I mean, to your point, it's going to be a big weekend down there in Greenville. It's going to be an emotional weekend as graduation is that same weekend. So it is going to be packed out. But to their point, every time ECU has had a good crowd, they have shit a brick during that game. It's just not been well. But I think that this season, this weekend, they're going to have something to prove against UTSA. Reed, do you have anything else on that?
No, I mean, those are all good points you make. Maybe if it being graduation weekend, emotional weekend for them, they'll light a fire under them. I mean, it should be a good crowd, as always down there.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Got a comment from Adam Stewart. Guy went to Mississippi State after the season. Thoughts? I actually have heard rumblings about this. Steven has talked about it, touched on it. Me and him have texted about it that his name was in the running for it a couple years past, and of it. There have been a lot of SEC openings that have come to him, and I definitely think he will be in conversations for this. I definitely know that Cliff will probably hear them out as he does everyone, but I think Cliff to Mississippi State probably won't happen because his ties to he was on that staff for a good while, good relationship with a lot of people over there, so I don't think he would go across town to Mississippi State, but he would definitely be good.
Would the SEC school in this era, NIL era, transfer portal era, hire a coach that doesn't utilize the transfer portal?
That is another great question because I know that he was in talks for the LSU job before Jay Johnson got hired, and I know this is for a fact. I don't know how public knowledge this is, but I'll say it. The LSU AD said, "How many of your guys would you be bringing with you from ECU?" And he said, "I'm not bringing none of them. I don't believe in the portal. I don't none of that." But that was years ago. And that was before LSU won the title with the team they bought and really proved that it works. And you look at all these other teams around the country. But then again, to my point, seasons like this change things. And I think a lot of things will change inside that building in Greenville next year.
Yeah. Was he ever considered for the South Carolina job when it opened up?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes. If that were to open up again, if he didn't take it the first time, I don't see him. I could see him being once again considered for that position, but I don't see him leaving ECU for South Carolina.
I think there's only one job he'd leave for, and that's Ole Miss.
Why is that?
Because
his ties.
Because his team is Ole Miss. Because I wouldn't say confidently, but I can say that if he wanted the LSU job a couple years ago, he could have probably got it. And
I don't think he'll ever leave.
Yeah, I don't. Me personally, from my conversations with people, I think it would take something absolutely asinine for him to leave.
Yeah. One name I did see that was thrown out there for Mississippi State was the Troy coach, Skylar Meade. I think that would be a really interesting hire. I could definitely see him riding right into an SEC position like that. And then, that was one name I did notice on someone's list. I can't remember who it was, but I was like, that would make a lot of sense.
I've seen Brian O'Connor too.
Who's that?
Virginia coach.
Virginia coach. Okay, I didn't.
Certainly no. I don't believe.
Yeah, no way.
No
shot.
Well, we can talk coaching carousel maybe after the season ends. Obviously, it was kind of weird to see Mississippi State just kind of go their separate ways.
Now they're starting to play better baseball too.
Yeah, they did get a series win or sweep this week.
Sweep.
Yeah, sweep this weekend. So shout out to them over there. But what is it?
Paul Maneri going to take the job?
I don't know about that.
It's a tough industry getting fired mid-season when you won the only national title.
Yeah,
I could see him being like Jack Leggett and just going back to LSU and just being in the dugout. I don't know what his relationship's like over there, but again, maybe he just comes back to South Carolina next year and tries it again. You never know. I don't think South Carolina fans would want that. But Jason, what else did we want to discuss tonight? I know we got.
I was going to let and Reed kind of talk some scores around the country and some Field of 64 talk. Kind of give us a recap of some major movements that could possibly happen and just what else happened around the country.
Tobin.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, a lot of changes will be happening. A lot of crazy results this weekend. Obviously, with Texas getting swept, there's a lot of talk. Will they be number one in the country tomorrow? Will they be the number one overall seed when we release our next one? I don't know. I think we'll have good talks next couple days, Colby and Braxton. Cincinnati, big result. They swept Kansas this week. We had them in the next 4 out head into this weekend. I think they're firmly in now. Series wins against Duke and Kansas, which are two good series wins. Notre Dame, Notre Dame, what do you think, Colby? I think, do they need to win another ACC series? They're 12-15 in ACC play right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think probably one more ACC series win is needed for them to feel pretty good about their chance. I feel good. Taking 2 out of 3 against Louisville, it really helps their case. Another bubble team, A&M, I think they're pretty much in. Taking 2 out of 3 against LSU. And now they have series wins at Arkansas, at Tennessee, and now LSU. So it's pretty tough to leave them out with that resume.
Yeah, knowing the history of the committee with the SEC, you certainly don't think they won't be left out. Western Kentucky, much needed. They had a big week. They beat Kentucky on Tuesday night and then swept Louisiana State or Louisiana Tech this weekend. They were outside they fell out of our field of 64 this past week after tripping up last week, but I think they're back in. Arizona State continues to play good ball. USC is trending up as well. They took down UCLA this past weekend. That's 8 straight series wins in a row for USC. So they're playing a really good ball right now. Miami, too, continues to win games. I think, what's the winning streak up to now? 10 in a row, I think?
Yeah, I think it was 8 ACC wins, or was it 7? One of those.
I think it was 8, yeah.
So it's 10, yeah.
A little preview, a little sneak. I think we can all agree State will move out of the hosting picture for now. Obviously, they still can get back in that with a big series against UNC next weekend. But, going 0-3 this weekend really dropped their RPI. I think it went from like 20 to 32 or something like that.
I think it's worse.
Kentucky might find themselves on the wrong side of the bubble. They went 0-4 this week.
Did you guys see? Sorry, I just wanted to throw on the ACC front. Did you guys see the tweet about the full circle?
Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
That's crazy.
So for those who don't know, like the ACC has now every team has won a series, and every team has now beaten a team that has beaten another team that creates like this full circle of series winners throughout the conference. So that just goes to show how the ACC is a good baseball conference, and it's anyone's conference, and anyone can beat anyone at any time. But I just wanted to see if y'all saw that because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, McNeese State, they're probably gonna have to win their conference tournament now. They've kind of fallen apart here this past month. Another series loss this weekend. I think it was Incarnate Word or Stephen F. Austin. I can't remember, one of those two. Kansas. They were kind of nearing that hosting picture, getting swept by Cincy at home. I think Virginia Tech is probably out of the tournament right now. They've really struggled the past couple weeks. Did they end up salvaging Game 3 today, Braxton? Do you know?
It was 11-11 in like the 12th, and then
they lost.
They lost.
They lost 14-13, and the 13.
Okay. Yeah, so
the 13th
then, right?
I think they're 11 and
11 and 16.
16, yeah. That's not going to get you into the conference. They can get to 13-17 and win a game or two in the ACC tournament, that might be good enough. But where this team was a month ago to where they are now, it's disappointing to see.
They allowed 23 hits today in their game.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I know they still have to play Virginia too. I think they play Georgia Tech too. I could be wrong though.
Maybe.
Yeah, not sure.
Who do y'all think is going to be number one in the country though tomorrow? I mean, a lot of people are wondering that.
I think it's going to be Florida State, just off of the basis that they're the only team in the top 5 to win their series. Obviously, North Carolina didn't play. So I think we were talking about this earlier, Rita, at dinner, but like it's hard to put a team number 1 that didn't play just because they didn't win a series. Like it's kind of a recency thing. Like, for instance, when State beat Clemson, they move up, our rankings, other rankings. Whereas a team like North Carolina doesn't play. Obviously, they don't lose. You get that. But it's hard for me to put a team 1 that doesn't play. So for me, it's probably going to be Florida State. If I had to go off the committee, they probably are going to have Texas in there, which I just think is crazy after getting swept.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they were consensus number 1, by a good margin, and they think that getting swept by a top 10, top 11, whatever, SEC level team is not a big deal, even though, I know in other cases getting swept is, like a crime. When Wake gets swept, they drop out of the rankings earlier in the year, like things like that. But I think it'll be Florida State for me, to answer your question. And then I would go.
It'll be Texas.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
I mean, it certainly should not be Texas, like you said, Braxton. I mean, but we know how they are with the SEC. Getting swept in the SEC is considered not you're never punished, which is ridiculous. I don't know. Arkansas has their case, but I don't think they're going to move from 11 to 1 in the country.
I don't think it'll be LSU, obviously.
Honestly, yeah.
I don't.
I can see Florida State being 1. I don't know. I'm very interested to see that though.
Jason thinks
Jason.
Well, look, I mean, Texas did also lose their Friday night starter for the year. I don't know how much that will have to do with where you put them in the rankings, but it certainly does not help their case as a national title contender. You want to have all the arms you can, especially a guy like that who was basically Randy Johnson, the way he was throwing the ball. But anyways, we'll see tomorrow. You'll see our rankings tomorrow at noon. We are going to have a show this week, I think, Kason, right? Me and Reed were talking maybe have it on Wednesday since there's so many Thursday games, and we might want to go. I know Carolina and State plays Thursday.
South Carolina plays Auburn Thursday, and Coastal plays Thursday as well.
Yeah, Coastal, that was the other one. They play ULM. But we can talk about that, Kason. I don't know if you wanted to do.
Y'all trying to go to the game Thursday?
Me and Reed were talking about it, yeah. And then also the Canes play Thursday.
No care.
Only game I could go to is Sunday.
I might be going Sunday too. It's Mother's Day, of course. Shout out to
if I'm here for work, in town for work on Thursday, 100% I want to go.
Oh, Tobin, I forgot you don't live in North Carolina anymore.
I'm only 2.5 hours away.
Is Charlotte in South Carolina now?
Yep. I mean, pretty much. Pretty much. Anyways, we'll let y'all know, I guess. But yeah, we've got the rankings coming out, weekly honors. Another field of 64 will come out at some point this week. Midweek action, we've already got the slate ready for y'all. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games on Tuesday and 3 on Wednesday. So,
is this the last midweek?
No,
I think there's one more.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
There's 2 more weekends and 2 more midweeks.
But they're starting to dwindle off.
Yeah, there's not as many.
Yeah. Like I said, there's only 8 games for the Carolinas.
Clemson Coastal's the highlight Tuesday night. Yeah. That should be an awesome.
High Point
at
at
Coastal
Charlotte.
should be an awesome atmosphere. I'm going to try to go to that game. I'll be in Myrtle Beach for work. So I'm going to hopefully try to swing over there for at least catch a couple innings.
Yeah. Yeah, High Point at Charlotte as well. You got NC State at Wilmington, Citadel at College of Charleston, Queens at Duke, Presbyterian Wofford. So some good matchups. Campbell at North Carolina as well, in Chapel Hill will be good. So yeah, you'll see our coverage of the midweek stuff as well as the Field of 64 at some point, which we will work on as a group. And yeah, anything else, Kason, that you got? I'll let you kind of sign us off, but
I think we're good. Thank you for taking over due to technical difficulties. It's very unfortunate that happened.
yeah, bro,
I think that
they come out of the pen.
but yeah, I think that Wednesday would be good, and I think that it would be. I mean, we can talk about the scores, but I think as of now going forward, I think our midweek show will be like a Field of 64 show.
Yeah.
So much, like really focus on that because that's what everyone really wants to know and talk about. So we'll definitely keep you posted about that. We'll definitely do a post about that if we do it. But like Braxton said, be on the lookout for our content tomorrow and Field of 64 on Wednesday. That being said, folks, you know where to find us. Good night.